So I just sold my 6.7 Power Stroke for the 7.3 Godzilla V8. We're hauling like 2 tons in the rear and 1,000 pounds on the front. But in today's video, I want to talk about the pros and cons that I've noticed making the jump from the Power Stroke from the diesel to the gas engine. So let's jump in the truck, go for a drive, and talk about the pros and cons. Okay, here in the truck, let's go ahead and pick up the blade and fully retract. And let's go for a drive and talk about it. So I just went and filled this truck up with fuel. We are at 268 miles till E, and that is the first con of making the jump from the 6.7 Power Stroke to the 7.3 liter gas. So before I bought this truck, I had a F450, and and that truck had a 48-gallon tank, and it ran on diesel. When you drove that truck, you only got like 12 miles to the gallon, 13 miles to the gallon. But the thing about the diesel is it was capable of getting like, I don't know, 20 to the gallon on the highway at the right conditions. But a lot of times, being, you know, that it's still a heavy big truck, a lot of times you couldn't do that. So at the end of the day, that truck was more efficient, and especially when you load it down like we are today, you wouldn't be seeing a 268 miles till E. You'd be seeing like maybe like a, I don't know, 400 mile, 500, I don't know, a lot more, probably double what we have here with the bigger tank and a better efficiency. The thing about that is, you know, with this storm coming up, we have a storm coming up now, it could be like 6 inches. Very long snowfall, a lot of saltings popping in and out. The thing about that is it's gonna be, you fill it up, and until you can't physically work anymore, that vehicle will have fuel. Whereas this one, I'm probably gonna run out the fuel, have to stop and get gas. Not the end of the world, I mean, because you gotta stop anyway at some point. But it is nice to have that kind of range and capability and just have that one little thing off of your mind, your fuel. That being said, as we come near this gas station here, diesel fuel is still $10. Diesel fuel is $5.19, and that's not much of a drop off. So as far as the price of the diesel, you're going to be spending more on the diesel, whereas the gasoline has come down to be like $2.99. I actually got it for $2.69, and I can tell you, like, it's been a while since I filled up a vehicle for the cost. It wasn't too bad. So very happy with how much it costs to fill up the gasoline engine right now. It's much cheaper, even though the diesel's more efficient. It's much cheaper. So going from the 450 to this, I did like how the 450 handled the weight and the plow and all that. This, we're gonna go find out how this handles the salt, because we're gonna get it loaded today. But the 450, you could put a ton in there, no factor. 2 tons, you can even do 2 tons. You start to feel it a little, but still not a huge deal, but you can feel it a little. With this, I'm curious to how a ton's gonna feel. I'm sure it'll be fine, but curious how it feels with a ton. So we'll go ahead and see how that works out. But as far as it goes right now, with 1,000 pounds in the front and the spreader in the back, truck feels good. Like, it's not, you know, this truck's got a 430 gear ratio, the 10-speed. 10 speeds have a very low first gear. Pair it with the 430 ratio, and that first gear is just freaking low. So it's very easy to get moving. It handles the weight so far very, very well. The one complaint that I did have with the 450, and this is probably the only real complaint that I have with the drivability of the 450, is that first gear was so low with the 430 gear with the 10-speed, and that engine revved a little lower than a gas engine. I mean, being a V8 diesel, it had a little more rev to it than like an inline 6, but still, it's a diesel. It's not a high revving engine, so you don't have a ton of RPM, and your gearing, there's all this low gearing, it kind of wants to have a little bit of RPM because it's geared. You have the gearing, you have the mechanical leverage. The diesel has the low end torque, whereas the first gear was so low with that diesel that it just seemed so slow off the line. The reverse was really slow. It could pull a house off its foundation, but it was just slow. And once I got used to it, it was fine. I, learned to just step on it, and when going backwards, just step on it, and you could really get it moving. So that was the one complaint. Like if you're plowing snow, your gearing is slow, but it's geared to pull a house. So you put some weight in it, and you can just move. You can just move snow piles and stuff so much better with that diesel. So we'll see kind of how this goes. I have in this truck, I'm not gonna say that my diesel addiction is cured. Like I still want a diesel. I still want a 450 at that. I think if I had to say, okay, do I want to get rid of this truck just to get a diesel truck? Maybe not. But I did really enjoy the F450 chassis. Aside from that one complaint of the first gear being a little too low. Let me get over here. Aside from that one complaint of that first gear being a little low, the diesel chassis, the dually, the 450, the wide track front axle, the commercial tires. I'm one of those people that actually, I don't mind the commercial tires too bad. I thought they were fine. I miss the 450, and I do miss the diesel, but I don't miss the diesel enough to just buy any diesel truck. I think, yeah, the diesel was great. In the 450, everything as a package was great. I do miss the diesel, but not enough to just drive like a 350 single rear wheel diesel, or I don't really want a 350 dually. But yeah, I think I just missed the whole package of the 450, that whole thing. And for me, the 450, do I need it? Sometimes, sure, but I can get by without it. What it does for me, or what it did for me, is it got me up every single day just to drive. It's such a high performance truck. Just getting up in the morning, I will get up every morning at 4 a.m. get in the shower every morning, like without a doubt. Get in the shower, start up that truck, jump out of the shower, and then I will go for an hour drive. Listen to podcasts, think, meditate, just drive. That needs to be driven. And I would go out and just check my properties, like for snow plowing, every single day. Because I think it's just because I had that truck, just hearing that diesel engine outside of the door, going out, the big 450s out there, the big spreaders out there, the big plow, all that's out there. And then I just drive it with the plow on it, salt in it, load it, whatever. And I would just check the properties, listen to my show, and just drink coffee, and just have a good hour-long session of alone time. Sometimes I think, sometimes I play a podcast, whatever. Then I would go and park it, and I would just run the motor. It just, even if it's cold out, high idle the engine, and I would just listen to a show, finish it off, put the seat in recline, take a nap, and maybe even pulling my computer out and do some work on my computer. That's what that truck did for me. I've never, ever, since having this truck, woke up in the morning and just drove this truck. It's a great truck. It's a good driving engine. It's super smooth. It's handling this little bit of weight just fine. We'll see how it does with the load. But to me, this truck is just a tool. Now that kind of goes in its pros and cons, because honestly, guys, I haven't waxed it. I haven't waxed this truck at all. I used to wax that 450 and get out. And then when it came to work, I wasn't one of those guys that didn't want it to get dinged or nothing. Well, don't get me wrong, I don't want it to get dinged, but I'm not one of those guys that didn't want to work the truck. Like, I put it through, like, you wouldn't even think that thing could come back to being polished up again. But it did every single time. Just covered in black road tar and everything from just 24 hours of just working out here. And you clean it up and it would come right back. It just looks beautiful again. The thing about the 450s, they cost that money more when you get them, but it's like the most secure truck purchase ever. It held its value like nobody's business, for real. Like, that thing held its value for real. And it came time to make a decision on getting rid of it. And I didn't really want to. I gotta stop at Target before we get this salt. I didn't really want to sell it, but this economy really did shift. You know, we can thank our wonderful JB for these great low gas prices. Look at our gasoline. Now diesel's not there yet, but look at our gasoline. We can just fill up our trucks. Thank you, JB, for letting this gasoline get so low in price. Whatever you had to do to get these prices down, thank you. What did you do? What a genius to lower these prices like this. But that being said, when I fill up that diesel, guys, I can tell you right now, my sales have lowered going into fall. Like, fall is supposed to be this really exciting time, just the amount of work you can do. And yeah, a lot of my clients, they didn't have the kind of money this year. A lot of people, you go through the nice area of town this year, the Grosse Point, where there's some money there, and all of a sudden you see these leaves are still down, and it's like December. It's late December. It's almost Christmas. That whole town is usually cleaned up by now, but right now, no, it's still all messy looking. Like, a lot of people, for services that aren't really super required, a lot of people have backed off of getting stuff done that is not life or death. Like, there's no one's gonna make you pick up your leaves necessarily. And yeah, it's gonna be winter. Why would you do that if you don't have to? A lot of people are not paying for these extra services that they could have been paying for. So that's why I was nervous about selling that truck. And it's kind of like, I don't know if it was a mistake. You know, I guess we have to make our decisions and live with them. And, you know, it's okay. You know, I'll get another one. I do think, like, hey, let me call the guy who bought this truck and see if I can coerce him to giving it back to me. But I haven't done that. You know, I haven't done that yet. Maybe I'm not going to say that I'm not going to do that. But I haven't done that. But, yeah, it's been a hard couple years. It's been a hard winter, just getting, you know, just coming to the grips with how the work's gonna be. So it did kind of get me by, you know, got me by for a while, and I do kind of regret. But I worried that I would have to park that truck. I mean, we're talking $5.19 fuel. And what is it going to cost me to fill up 48 gallons? You know, I don't know. Maybe I should run the numbers, you know. Let's see here. Okay, Google. What's 5.19 times 48?
5.19 times 48 is 249.12.
Okay, so $250 to fill up the tank. If fuel was even where it's at, but even in the time when I sold it, it was a little bit higher than that. So that kind of money to fill up the tank, and then, you know, it was kind of a tough decision at the time. So do I think this truck, honestly, I think this truck can do all of everything I need it to do right now. It's just not as fun. It's still fun, and I still do enjoy it, and I am impressed. Like, the 7.3 is impressive. So anyway, let me run up in Target, get something for the old lady real quick, and then we'll be back. We'll load it with salt. We'll see how the truck does. All right, getting a ton of salt. There we go. What up? Give me a ton. Is that about a ton or what?
It's like 3/4. More?
Yeah. Pretty sweet. Truck is, let's see how she looks. Not too bad. All right, so I don't think I'll get the full hit because that'll fill up the whole thing. I don't need to go crazy like that. So I'll try to stop him before he dumps the whole thing in there. All right. So yeah, that's pretty good and heavy there. And she's starting to cry a little bit, so. Now, can the truck take the full 2? I think so. But for now, that's plenty. So driving with the weight in the truck, with the tonnage in the spreader, the engine, the trans, all that still handles this. No issues. Can't really even tell it's there. Definitely better than the 6.2. The suspension squatted. It's probably going to irritate other drivers at night with the headlights. But other than that, pretty impressed. Definitely impressed. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video here. My name is Sean. This is DS Trucks. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Over and out.